This is the Flydigi Vader 4 Pro gaming controller. That's right, we're finally covering the Vader 4 Pro. Everyone's been commenting for ages. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. And yeah, okay, fine, we heard you, we're checking it out today. And I have to admit, I'm glad that you've all been wanting me to check this out because I love it. This thing is absolutely wicked. It is spec'd out to the max, even though you can't really tell exactly what the specs are because they're all in Chinese. But you kind of get an impression if you use some Google Lens magic. But yeah, we've got Hall effect sticks, Hall effect, you know, analog joysticks, triggers. We've got mechanical trigger stops as well, so you can just swip it over. We've got 4 back paddles. We've got these 2 buttons, which are assignable. You've got the C and the Z, which are basically like old Xbox Duchess-like buttons. You know, they're like 2 black and white buttons, but over here, I love this, by the way. Absolutely love this. You've got a clicky D-pad, which you can't remove the dome from. It's just as is. The same with the triggers, you can't like swap them out or whatever. You've got a function button down there, you've got a power button or home button, you've got start and select, and they've actually named them start and select for old people like me, where they used to actually be called start and select and not whatever the hell they are nowadays. We've got mechanical face buttons, yes, absolute win. We've got really consistent bumpers on the top. We've got USB-C at the top as well. We've also got this, which they don't give you the thing for, but it's actually for, you know, like putting a phone controller on, you know, like a phone adapter so that you can put your phone on the top and then just play from that as well. It's got so much stuff on here, but one of the big things on this is actually the joysticks. You can change the tension on the fly Digi. Okay. So if you want to get your Digi and make it fly, then you grab these rings just here. Kind of looks like a Zotac zone, you know, like that like ring around it. But you can see up here, it says minimum or maximum, and you've got a little like dial, and you just grab it and you move it around. And you can't just really, you could if you really wanted to do it with one finger, but it's not just gonna like slip, you know, you're gonna have to really grab it and move it. But you can go from like super floppy if you want to have a real floppy one, but if you want to get super stiff, then you want to just put it around there, and then there you go, you're as stiff as you want to be. Yeah. Nice one, Flydigi. No, genuinely, I love this. Like, I really love this. And there are little notches on here as well, so that you can like go, okay, yeah, I want like this setting on this one and I want to match it on that one. You can do that by having it on the same notch. Or if you wanted to have, let's say, a super floppy left stick so that you can run around really easy, but a firm right stick for aiming or something like that, well, then you can do that. They are individually changeable per stick, which I think is wicked. And you've got this kind of like blue transparent sort of like dome around the bottom, you know, of the joystick itself, right? We've also got anti-friction metal rings, and I have to admit, these are super smooth. They get the buttery smooth award. They are buttery smooth. So before we go on, let's just have another look at the actual controller itself, right? So we've got a completely plastic design, which is a win. That is a good thing, because I really hate rubbery stuff because they always go sticky after a while. But instead, we've got this like, I don't know, stippled plastic, right? So they've got some grips on here, which is just plastic, which is a win. Again, the whole thing is plastic, but it feels pretty weighty. So I know weight gives you the illusion of quality, but yeah, it's pretty weighty, and it does feel like good quality. You know, I'm not feeling cheap or anything like that. I test a lot of controllers. Some of them do feel cheap. You know, this does not. This feels weighty, it feels premium, feels like they've really tried to make this a pro controller. And I mean, it's called the Vader 4 Pro, right? And I think that lives up to that name. So yeah, it just feels like actual quality in the hand. The weight is great. The distribution of it is well balanced and everything. And the actual controller layout is just kind of like an exaggerated Xbox layout, a bit more like bubbly. It almost reminds me, like if you put a Razer logo there, I feel like this could be a Razer controller in terms of looks. Like aesthetically, it just gives me that vibe. Maybe it's that little touch of RGB on the top there. But yeah, it feels very nice in the hands. The ergonomics are really good. It's got a good weight weight distribution. I think you can get one with a dock as well. Whilst I love mechanical switches, I really, really do, this is one of the downsides for me, is not only is there a bit of like wobble on these face buttons, there's a load of pre-travel and quite a bit of post-travel. So pre-travel is the amount you have to press it before it actuates, and then post-travel is the continuation of the press after it's actuated, right? So you have to like push, then click, and then you can still push past that. Could be a bit tighter in my opinion, right? So you push down, click, and now I can still push past. When you're actually playing on it, like after you've played with this for probably about 20 minutes, you'll get used to the pressure needed to actuate those. But I feel like they could have been a little bit less pre-travel. That's my issue. I don't really care about post-travel because with mechanical switches, once I hear and feel that click, I know to let go, right? And it just becomes natural. But there is just a little bit too much pre-travel for me personally. So yeah, there we go. But besides that, they are mechanical and they do feel good when you're using them and you're used to that amount of pressure needed to push. That's the main issue here. Now the D-pad is clicky as well, and yes, it does actuate like left and right when you press down and rock it. You can feel that. It is an 8-way D-pad. I don't think you can turn it off into a 4-way D-pad, but we will check out the software in a minute anyway. But yeah, so the D-pad might not be the best for fighting games, but to be fair, it rolls nicely. You know, like it seems good to me, but yeah, I'm not a fighting games guy. These side buttons are not mechanical. They are just membrane little buttons, but they feel good, to be fair. And the back paddles as well are very consistent. Often they are mushy on controllers, but these are very consistent. You know, I like that a lot. We obviously have the analog triggers as well, which we can move up. And then what I really like is it then turns it into a digital trigger with a mechanical switch. And that is my favorite type for digital triggers. You know, I love having that mechanical feedback, that instant actuation, really good for FPS games. And pair that up with your adjustable joystick style, right? This is a seriously customizable controller. Right, let's just test some stuff out, shall we? So yes, we've got the controller just here in the tester, and you can probably see straight away if I go to test circularity, oh no, the error rate is really high. That's not a bad thing. It just means that it's not a total circle. And what that means is by default, it's in raw mode essentially. So there's no outer dead zone. So what this means, as you can see here, look, there's those sort of like pinky bits. It means that you overshoot the circle edge and go past it for true diagonals, so that you've actually got proper accuracy, which not only can aid in FPS games, but certain games that if you're pressing in a diagonal motion won't actually input correctly if you've got a circular outer dead zone, whereas this by default is in raw mode. This is just the way joysticks actually truly input. It's just usually manufacturers put a fake circle around that, which gives you less movement, right? So out of the box, Flydigi have gone, nah, you're getting raw mode. You can adjust this, and the same with the inner dead zone. So there is an internal dead zone, probably of about 10%. They generally are, but you can turn that off if you want 0 dead zone. But just be aware that you might get very slight drift from it in terms of it won't be perfectly in the center, but these are Hall effect sticks, so they will last longer with way less chance of drift anyway. Face buttons then, yep, you can see they actuate super fast because they are mechanical switches. Same with the back paddles when they are in digital mode, right? If we pop these down into analog mode, you can see that they have really good sort of adjustment there in terms of like how much you can feather that on or off, right? And yes, you can assign the back paddles and everything, which we'll go through in a second. But ultimately, everything feels really good on this. There's no glaring issues in terms of like how stuff's inputting. Right, now let's go into the software, because yes, you can do some stuff on the fly, but again, I haven't got an English manual and I couldn't really, you know, figure it out from the Chinese manual. So I've just been doing any of the remapping and everything in the software. So the software just here is absolutely ridiculous. It's called the Space Station or something like that. It is mad. There is so much you can do on this. This is the home page. I'll just use the mouse, right? And you can see like button mapping. You can click here to go directly to that tab, right? So that's from the home page, and it kind of gives you stuff like, oh look, joystick dead zone, straight to it just by clicking on there. Obviously you can go through these tabs and adjust stuff like manually, but if you want like a direct hot link to that option, then you can do so. So like gyros, take us straight to the gyro like that. But yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff on the front page, if you will. You've got the C and Z buttons, which are these two down on the side, which you can adjust as well, like straight from here. So I could go, okay, I don't want it to be that anymore. The button, I can either press a button and it will, you know, assign it to it, or you can do a single keypad, right, entry. So let's just do U for no reason. Now I've assigned U to that C button, right? But you can go through and you can do more than that. You can do rapid fire, so you can assign a turbo to it and you can adjust everything right here. You can go in and do a whole macro if you want, and you can assign macros and change how long they've been pressed and all sorts of stuff. Like you can do inputs. There is a crazy amount you can do here. I'm just going to clear that off, right? And then you've got multi-function as well, which is left mouse, right mouse, middle mouse, mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down, but that's it. I would have really liked if you could do keyboard macros, which you can't do, unfortunately. You can do a keyboard single press, but you can't do like Control-Alt-Delete and assign it to a button. Because here in the Armory crate, right, if I open Armory crate, I've actually assigned that button to be Control, Shift, and A, I think it is, right? So I can go down to my keyboard shortcuts in the Ally, Control, Shift, and A. I would have loved to have been able to actually map that to here, and I have managed to do that via using a separate bit of software. It's a hotkey software, but I won't go into that here because this is way too far down the weeds, but I would have liked it to natively be able to do that in the software, to be able to do like a multiple macro of keyboard presses, but sadly you can't do that. And the same with the multifunction, it's just mouse inputs, so that's a little bit of a shame, but I know what I'm asking for here is really specific, but I'm sure there's other people that probably wanted to do some sort of mad key combination on a keyboard and assign it to one of these buttons. A little bit of a letdown there, but you know, very, very specific and very niche. Like I said, ultimately there is a lot of control there, and you can assign these back paddles as well from this home page. But if we just go into each one, oh, there is configurations as well here. So you've got different profiles that you can switch through, and you can change the like polling rate and stuff as well, which is pretty cool. But if I go to button, here's all the buttons that you can change. So basically everything you can remap if you really want to, which is wicked. If you go to joystick, oh, let's just go back and just click on one. It opens up the same thing that you've already seen, right? I'm just showing you that. If we go to joystick, there's loads of stuff that you can do here. Sorry, let's do that again and click on joystick. There we go. So you can change the left or right joystick. You've got all the curvatures that you could ever want to mess around with. And the same down here, you've got the center dead zones and the outer dead zones as well. So it's currently default set to rectangular. Remember I showed you that it's not a perfect circle, right? You can swap that to a circle if you want, and you can mess with the dead zones just here. Gyro, you've got FPS or racing, and you can map the gyro to like the left joystick or whatever. I couldn't see a way of mapping gyro to left trigger, because that's what I personally would want it on. If I was going to use gyro, I'd want it on aim down sights on the gun, right? So that I press this, and as I'm holding it, then gyro enables. That's quite a common thing for gyro, like assignable controllers, but not on this one, which I was kind of surprised to see, but okay, whatever. Triggers then, again, we've got mad loads of stuff that you can change here. All the dead zones on the trigger just there. Again, if you don't care for any of this, just stick it in that digital input mode and you'll be fine, but you've got so much stuff here. It even has rumble in the triggers as well, which I'm a big fan of. Always an advocate for those, because it just makes the gaming experience feel better. When you've got rumble in the triggers, especially in shooting games, like it really feels good, you know, when you're using these controllers. That is wicked that they've put that in the Vader 4 Pro. And yeah, you can just see by this amount of settings and everything, there is so much that you can do in this app. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can tailor this to everything you want. And then there's general here as well, so that you've got like lighting, brightness, you've got the time, you've got the grip, like vibration intensity, and you can test it as well. Like there's so much stuff going on here. And then you've also got test, so that you can test out whatever it is that you've just done and adjusted. Or you've got the switch mode, which gets its own configuration. So it's a complete set of other configuration settings for if you're in switch mode. If I go back to PC mode and go down to function settings, this is where you can change the sleep time just here. You've got the debounce, automatic calibration as well, but you've also got the polling rates as well for, you know, the joysticks and stuff. Like that's wicked. There's so much you can do just there. Cancel it out with the top right. And then you can go into settings as well. You can update. I've already updated mine. Mine straight away out of the box had an update for the dongle, which I've got connected to my Ally X, and for the controller. But if you're updating the controller, you do need to plug it in with a USB cable. It's got to be wired for it to update. But I mean, you do that once every now and again, so that's not a problem, right? And I think I'm going to stop rambling there, because I could be talking about this for ages, right? This is already far too long, but this is a wicked controller. Like, it's really, really cool. It's on the pricey side. I mean, on Amazon, it's like $80. Can you find it cheaper on AliExpress? Yes, yes, you can, like half the price of that. But, you know, then it comes down to, do you really want to import it from China? Will you get any like import tax or whatever? What's the shipping going to be like? You know, blah, blah, blah. At least if you buy it off Amazon, you know, you're getting kind of Amazon like returns and stuff. So yeah, it's an expensive controller, but honestly, you can do so much with this. It is absolutely ridiculous. It feels super premium, like really premium. I really like this. If this had like an official Xbox logo on it or something, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I feel like this is made by Razer or something like that. It feels like it's come from a big brand. It feels good quality. I love the fact that you've got that tension adjustment on the joysticks here, from like super floppy to maximum stiffness if you really want it, you know, and you can just dial it around with this. And yeah, I really, really like that. So you can really tune this in. Obviously, it might take a bit of time to find exactly how you want it, but I think that's a wicked like setting that you can do there. I love these. I want more controllers to do these. I want every controller to have the C and Z buttons here. I much prefer doing this than, you know, like pressing, well, even to pressing the back pedals maybe, I don't know. Like, actually that's a lie, because I like being able to press the face buttons and the back pedals at the same time. But I do massively like these two extra buttons. So, I mean, there's 6 mappable buttons there, but you can remap everything in the software. There's so much it can do. It's got triggers with analog, you know, analog Hall effect triggers, or you've got the instant ones as well with the mechanical switches. You've got mechanical switch face buttons and stuff. There's just so much that you can do with this controller. I really rate it. Has it taken #1 slot for me? Maybe. It might have dethroned my GameSir Cyclone 2 that I love. Maybe it has. I wish there was a bit more Western support for this in terms of like an English manual. That would have been cool. But yeah, wicked controller. Massively like it. I understand now why everyone's been commenting about this. Really, really like this controller. Big win. So what do you think of the Flydigi Vader 4 Pro? What a name, right? Let me know down in the comments. Have you used one? Do you love it? Do you not like it? Have you never heard of it? I want to know all these things. Whilst you're down there, like this video, subscribe, become a member, and you can see these videos early, and you get to talk to me and AJ over on our private Discord. And talking of AJ, stick around for his videos, which is the news video, and also our podcast that we do together as well on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.